You know, guys, I think one of the riskiest things for a comedian is the concept that people can be laughing at you and not with you. I think that your job as a comedian is to make people laugh. You know, you're laughing together. And the concept or the idea that people are going to be laughing at you is actually counter to what you're trying to get across. You know, most comedians are observational. You know, it's like they're making fun of what's going on in the world and everything. So the idea that people would be laughing at you kind of goes against what your ultimate goal is, especially if you're one of those comedians that like to actually make people think as well as laugh. Now, I think this is something that has actually been a constant challenge for Dave Chappelle, specifically because we saw him walk away from, what was it, like $50 million or something like that when he was at the height of his career with the Chappelle Show. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that a lot of his humor and comedy was racial. And I think that he began to really feel that people were maybe laughing too much at him, and or maybe at the wrong things instead of laughing with him. You know, I think I actually heard him say something like that before. So let's get into the controversy that Dave Chappelle now feels with his latest Netflix special, The Closer. All right, let's talk about it. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. And guys, before I go any further, I just want to thank everybody who came out for the Dark Council meetup. That was yesterday, and it was in Times Square, Manhattan. You know, we were out there. We were tearing it up. We were having a good old time. And so many people came out. Dude, I wasn't ready for that shit, man. There were a lot of people out there. We were signing autographs. Me, you know what I mean? I can understand drunk 3PO, you know what I mean? But, all the rest of us were out there, and the love that we got was insane. You know what I mean? And when I say I understand Drunk 3PO, it's because, man, he's got such a huge personality. He's out there. He's everywhere. You know, that man hustles. He works very, very hard. He makes it look like it's easy. But that man really, really grinds to bring you what he's bringing you, guys. And a lot of it is for a good cause. So I got to give it to him. He gave me this hat, guys, the Rebellion. I rock it faithfully, and I rock it with a purpose, because on this channel here, I like to believe that this is the very spirit of rebellion, okay? Because I figured out not too long ago that our freedom of speech is under attack. Okay, our ability to fucking say whether we like or dislike something in entertainment is being challenged, let alone what's going on in the world, and current events and stuff like that. So I gladly go in, like ham, as much as I can. No fear to say how I feel, because I feel like our right is slipping away to say these things. So you have to say them while you have a chance. And I've said many times before, I'm also aware that from the day that you're born, if you have a sense of speech, then your words are limited. From the day that you're born, from the moment I started talking on this video, I have that many words less to say in my life. So I like to try to make them count. Okay, so thank you guys. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for everybody who came out. I love you. Thank you for everybody who was on the stream. Drunk 3PO did a stream. I'm going to leave it in the description so you guys can check it out. Please, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, man, it really empowers me. It really, really does. And if any of you guys who were out there yesterday or watching this video, please sound off in the comment section. I'll get a big kick out of it. So anyway, let's talk about this Dave Chappelle thing, The Closer. Now, he is under attack, guys. The shit is controversial because a lot of people are trying to act like he is anti-trans, all right? Because he did do a lot of trans jokes. I mean, he did a lot of everything jokes. He did a lot of black jokes, a lot of poor, rich, white, jokes, But the thing about it is this continues to be a issue with Dave Chappelle, because he goes right into it, guys. You know what I mean? This is not something that he's going to back down from, because I feel like he's being misunderstood, and I think he's aware of that. I think what he's trying to do is find a common level, a common denominator for all of us to exist, in comedy and the way that we perceive one another. And take, for example, what he was saying about his friend, Daphne, okay, who was a opener for him with his stand-up routine. Now, he told the story about what happened, with Daphne and everything. She was a trans woman, and she found a lot of his humor to be funny. She really did respect him as a comedian. And I think on that level, on that professional level, as an aspiring comedian, I think that there was a mutual respect. I think that Dave definitely wanted to help give this trans woman a hand up, and there was a level of respect there, and that respect was regardless of their differences. As people, as a trans woman or a straight man or a straight black man, which is, what he is, of course. I think where he found that common denominator with this trans woman is the fact that they were both comedians. They both wanted to entertain people and make people laugh. And I think that's where they found the basis of their friendship and their respect. And I think in pondering that, he realized that there are so many different ways and so many different levels that we can connect on, that we understand each other. I just talked about the meet and greet that we did yesterday. I talked to a variety of different people out there. Of course, in the heart of Manhattan, in New York, in Times Square, it's so diverse. So you get to talking to people, actually communicating with people, which is something that is being incredibly discouraged these days. Communication. We just want people to tell us how we're supposed to feel about certain things. And so the labels that we put on each other are abused, because if you want to say that Dave has a problem with trans women when he had a friend who's trans because they had other things in common, then you really need to think about that. Okay, now his friend was trans, just like me, who, if I have a friend who is a Native American, if I have a friend who is Latino or something like that, well, I can continue to identify them that way, or I can find what it is that actually attracts me to that person. Okay, their diversity can be an attraction. I believe, and I've always said this, that acknowledging each other's differences doesn't always have to interpret as resentment. Sometimes you can see a difference in a person and you can actually appreciate that. It doesn't always have to be, I'm colorblind or I'm gender blind or I'm culture blind. Sometimes I just like you, and part of the reason why I like you is because you are different. You know what I mean? Go figure. I'm not a woman, but I'm very much attracted to women. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's part of what I'm talking about. You can admire people's differences. And I think that's where Dave is coming from. He's challenging his audience to see the humor and the freedom that we should be able to have to acknowledge each other. Because unless you're a fucking idiot, then you must know when someone is really trying to offend you. When someone is coming at you or when they're not. You don't have to invent that. You don't have to try to embellish anything. You don't have to try to reach for something. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's a lot of what Dave is trying to remind us of, that we can all peacefully coexist. We can all poke fun at one another. In that same stand-up routine, he used the N-word all over the place. Nigga! Yes. All right. But people don't have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Because I guess maybe there's that racist feeling that, well, Dave can make fun of niggers because, Dave is a nigger. He's not, okay? But therein lies the humor. You know what I'm saying? Therein lies the humor and the ability to be able to look at the bright side of things and to have that little devilish thing that's in all of us where we can find fun or fault, well, not necessarily fault, but you can find the funny in just about everything. As long as you know that you are being respectful of that person and you know that it is genuinely funny. You can see where it would be funny and that person can see where it would be funny. Dave made a comment at the very end where he said he doesn't want to do this type of humor anymore until he can be sure that we're all laughing together. That's never going to happen as long as you have people who are determined to make victims out of themselves to the point where they will keep pointing shit out. That's offensive. That's offensive. That's offensive. Get the fuck out of here. You know what he meant. You know what he meant. He wasn't trying to fuck with you. Not that way. Now I understand that violence against trans people is a very real danger. I get that. But I think that Dave is trying to actually tackle that as well. Okay. There is no denying that there's only two genders. Okay. There's male and there's female when you're born. Now, it's a whole different dynamic if you start to relate to as a different gender as you're getting older. You feel like you're a woman, if you're a man. You know, you start to feel more feminine and stuff like that. That gets very complicated. I don't pretend to understand that, okay? Because I'm not that. And a lot of people in their confusion about that, yeah, they do lash out. You know, they are put in certain circumstances where maybe they didn't know that the person they were attracted to was trans. When they find out, they react violently, which is not cool. But we have to be able to talk about this. We have to be able to be open about this and not insist on your acceptance. You know, if you're a trans woman, you can't insist that people just accept you as a woman, because you were not born that way, okay? It shouldn't be offensive that you can say that, because we have to accept this and we have to approach this. We have to actually, we got to deal with this, man. And I know that it can be dangerous. It can be tricky. So until we can have an open, honest conversation, whether it's humorous, whether it is serious, sometimes it helps to be able to laugh at these things. There is going to be a complicated dynamic around all of this. I don't believe that Dave was looking to incite hatred among trans people. You know, I see people now trying to boycott, his special. They're trying to cancel him, and they're trying to cancel him off of Netflix, which is fucking funny to me because they had Cuties, which was, to me, an implication of pedophilia. But, that's what we're dealing with here, guys. Once again, the man used the N-word all over the place. You have to give him the room and the space as a observational comedian to get his point across when he is trying to tell you that he has or had a friend, that really shaped how he feels about this. He's still working it out. Dave Chappelle is not up on stage trying to be anybody's authority. He's just trying to work this shit out in a humorous way that I believe he feels can be a challenge or a help towards the larger society. So I actually respect it, guys. I feel that Dave Chappelle is brilliant. I feel that he is trying to talk this shit out. He's trying to work this out. And, I give him all the respect in the world for this, because it might not always land well with everybody, but here we are talking about it. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's good to be able to talk. I think it's good to be able to communicate. I don't think it's good to be dictated to about what you should be offended by, and what you should cancel. There is nothing good that can come from that, guys. We got to be able to do this. We have to be able to open up the conversation. We have to be able to laugh, because laughing keeps us from crying. And I believe I heard somewhere that for thinkers, this life can be a fucking comedy. You know what I mean? For someone who doesn't think, then it's just a bunch of fun. It's a bunch of nothing, whatever, But for an actual thinker, it can be a tragic comedy, And I think that's where most of our clowns get their tears from, And I think that's what makes them so compelling to watch, and themselves sometimes so tragic. So anyway, guys, what did you think about Dave Chappelle's latest special on Netflix, The Closer? Did you watch it? What did you think about this? What do you think about all of the controversy? You think he deserves it? You think he deserves to be canceled? And if you do, tell me why. I want to know why, and not just because he hurt some feelings, okay? You got to challenge yourself to think a little bit deeper than that, okay? Because feelings are going to get hurt. When you're talking about comedy, it's too easy for that to happen. Comedians are some of the most important people in our society, I believe, because they do challenge us to see things just a little bit differently. So anyway, guys, thank you for listening. And once again, thank you again for everybody who came out yesterday. I gotta say, I feel like Patrick Swayze, guys. You guys made me feel like I had the time of my life. And I never felt that way before. Yes, I swear it's the truth. And I owe it all to you. And everybody who saw me standing all 6'5.5" of me. I told you guys I was tall. Everybody was out there like, oh my God, I didn't know the gospel was tall like that. But anyway, we'll talk about it. And hopefully we can get together soon. I love my brothers. But thank you guys for listening. I'll catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.